Teachers of Reddit, what is the funniest thing you've ever heard a student say? One time I was asking students their birthdays. One boy told me that his birthday was September 31st. I tried to explain that this was not possible, but he insisted. Later, I looked it up. I then informed him that his birthday was November 17th. He looked at me kind of confused and said, "Oh." Then his face brightened and he said, "Well, last year I know it was September 31st. I teach elementary band. One time we were preparing for a challenging playing test and a student said, "Man, I need to practice." Without missing a beat, the kid next to him says, "My mom says I need Jesus." Besides being called mom numerous times, I've been called grandpa once. I'm female. Wore a Captain America shirt to school since the student council had a superhero day. A student said I looked like Captain America before the injections. Was tutoring after school a couple years ago. A kid asked, "What time is it?" I joked, "Time for you to get a watch." He responded, "Time for you to get a new joke," without a moment's hesitation. I had to laugh at getting shown up by a 5th grader. 2 reading levels behind but witty as hell. One time a kid asked me what I wanted to do when I grow up. Ouch. Not a teacher, but when I was in middle school our teacher started the day by ranting about how kids these days need to go outside more to get vitamin D because it'll make them not depressed and a lot happier. Halfway through the class she gets into an ungodly rage, probably about something trivial. The minute she's done, without skipping a beat, my buddy says, "Why don't you go outside and look at the sun?" The class starts dying with laughter, but the teacher doesn't find it so funny. He actually got suspended for that one. Middle school field trip to a different state. One of the chaperones, a large black woman, wanted to get in a little nap in the back seat of the bus, so she made one of the students move to a seat in the front that was far from his friends. He got in the seat and started sulking. He was normally a pretty lively kid, so I leaned forward and asked, "Dude, what happened?" To which he replied, "I think I just got reverse Rosa Parks ed." Here's my absolute favorite story I have not yet told on Reddit. I had a student who was a newcomer from Latvia. This kid is very bright and was one of my favorite 6th graders ever. We were having our annual jogathon, which is linguistically and culturally not translatable from Latvian. Student, "So I pay you and you make me run?" Me, "Yeah, that's actually how it goes." Student, "This is simple. I don't pay you, you don't make me run." Me, I teach sophomores. One day, this girl was sitting at her desk, looking very concerned, and obviously wanted to ask me something. Finally, she blurted out, "Did anybody else see the moon in the sky during lunch? It's supposed to be out at night, something is wrong." I live in Reading. During the car fire last year, we weren't sure how long the school would be open. The air quality was awful and hot, burnt leaves and ash were raining down. My kids were all tuned into the radio, trying their hardest to figure out what was going on. The radio said that Highway 299 was closed. One of my kids, about 6 years old, instantly had this look of panic on his face and asked me, 911 is closed. I just about peed my fucking pants laughing. Pre-K, a kid was squirming as we line up to go to lunch. I asked if he needed to go to the bathroom. He says no, but keeps squirming. I ask if he's sure that he doesn't need to go and if he's okay. His reply, "I'm okay. It's just that my penis is so big." He had an erection. Teacher to student, "Were you in class yesterday?" Student, sounding more lost than anything and probably answering too honestly, "Physically. It wasn't so much an attempt at humor as just the summation of how we all felt in that class." I ran workshops over school holidays. A little girl 5 got her fingers stuck in the plastic netted holes of her chair. She didn't tell me for 2 hours because apparently her big sister 8 sitting next to her said you never see people walking around stuck to chairs because they send them all to a big island. Everyone who gets stuck in something is sent there because it's too hard to work or study anymore. The furniture they're attached to get in the way. I found out because eventually the little girl needed to pee and she started crying and asking me not to take her away from her mom and dog. Poor thing. I hope this comes out right since it is being typed. I had a student run up to me and say, "Exaggerated American accent, I am half American and, exaggerated proper British accent, half English." I thought I would die laughing. I'm not a teacher, but I heard one of my classmates ask another, "Are you Asian or Chinese?" Me, can anyone tell me some of the things we get from farms? Fourth grader, hamburgers. Me, okay. Sort of. If we take a hamburger apart, what all do we get from a farm? Fourth grader, hamburgers come from hamburger farms, Mrs. I read about it online. First grade. 6-year-old lil dude about 3 foot tall and 80 pounds walks in late from recess. Me, why you late? Kid, grabs his hunk of belly with both hands like a ball of cream cheese and says, "The ladies love this." Sits down like nothing happened with no smile. High school aquatic science. Lesson on whales. After discussing the sperm whale, a girl asked, "Is that why the ocean is so salty?" So many things. But a couple of favorites. 13-year-old student, I know that this isn't math, but I can't remember, is ham a fruit or a vegetable? Another time I was sharing information about math and art and mentioned Leonardo da Vinci. A student said, "The pizza guy." I was confused, but later she said, "See. The pizza party. We were looking at the Last Supper." 6-year-old kindergarten student. My Nana lives in Las Vegas. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, but my mom is in jail. One time my student said, "Can you ask my dad if it's okay that I want you to my real mom?" I said, "You have a wonderful mom," and he said, "But it's not you. I wish you could put me to sleep at night, BC, I would feel so good." I never forget this or the job I signed up for. Didn't your family die already? A 4-year-old asked me this out of nowhere. Teaching 7th grade language arts. Failing at trying to put together a Socratic circle. One student was leaning over his desk and stretching, letting his arms hang over the desk. Other student, "You got some long ass arms, boy." Also, during a writing assignment where they were supposed to choose an object, they would be, "Fast food because first you love me then I kill you." I had to tell him it was inappropriate, but it was a creative answer. Taught ESL for a year. Had an adorable 6-year-old who could not say clock. We worked for weeks at it with her, she just could not say it. "Poppy, what time is it?" "It's 6 o'clock. I couldn't help but laugh every time. Not a teacher, but my English teacher was talking to the class and it somehow morphed into a discussion about money. Teacher, if I cared about money, I wouldn't be doing this job. Kid, but miss, don't you have to take a lot of your work home with you? Teacher, yeah we do. Kid, if I had to do that, I'd end myself. We were talking about cheetahs. Some kid said he could beat a cheetah in a race. The class predictably laughs and the kid shuts up. A minute later he just turns around and says, "I can beat a fat cheetah in a race." Not a teacher but a student. When in my health class, after we learned that the male can still produce sperm with one ball, a guy told us on how he had killed half of his right nut by landing on it with the metal part of a trampoline. My friend's response was, "So you literally busted a nut?" Teacher looks at us to say, "You are gonna get me fired one day." Not a teacher, but once in my physical science class in 11th grade we were all sitting at our desks listening to the teacher talk about the planet Saturn. Not 1 second after she said, "Saturn," we hear some kid in the hall yell, "Saturn sucks," and run off. The whole class busted out laughing, even the teacher chuckled. It was so funny. At Christmas time, I bring out an elf who does mischievous things in the classroom and leaves the kids notes. One year I overheard a discussion between my students if the elf was real or not. One if the students replied, "Of course it's real, Mrs. Enchanted Ocelot would never lie to us." When observing another teacher during my training year. Q, how do you make a hormone? A, don't pay her. Could not contain my laughter. I work with toddlers, 2-year-olds, and during lunch one day one child was kicking another under the table. Child 1, stop kicking me. Child 2 continues to kick. Child 1, stop kicking me. Child 2 continues to kick. Child 1, stop motherfucker. My co-taker and I about died trying not to laugh. His dad thought it was hilarious when I told him. He said he yells at people in traffic too. 6th grader, would you rather get stabbed in the stomach, or have a bar of chocolate? I had recess duty a few years ago. A kindergarten girl came running over with another girl right after her and said, she called me the B word. When I asked the second student if she called the first student the B word, she turned to the first one and said, "Motherfucker doesn't start with a B." I managed to turn my laugh into a cough, but yeah, no more recess for her that day. Kid in my class was given some bad news once and exclaimed, "Aw shit, right on my dick." It was inappropriate, but it sounded so incredibly genuine and defeated. My English teacher, early 20s, fresh out of school, looked like she was in physical pain, having to punish him, despite laughing uncontrollably and feeling sympathy for his situation. From South Korea, we were learning good at. I am good at soccer. I am good at English. Teacher. She is good at ugly. Student, small dicks matter. Me, AJ, let's keep it school appropriate. Student, small penises matter. Couldn't help but laugh. This is more of something a student did. About a month ago I hear a kid yelling, "My eyes are burning." I ask him what's wrong and he says that another kid sprayed him with something. I go to that kid and he hands me a bottle of Warhead spray candy and says, "It's just water." When I told him that water doesn't burn eyes, he replies with, "Well, I did put salt in it." I worked at an alternative ed school for kids who were expelled from their old schools. I taught a class of 8th grade boys, so I have tons of great stories. My favorite was one day I was reading out loud from the newspaper that Old Country Buffet was closing down, and one of my students said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" while simultaneously punching a hole in the window. I laughed so hard but also had to give him detention and fill out a ton of paperwork. Their insults to each other have evolved. We used to call each other's mums. The other day I heard, "Your mum smells like the coral reef when she opens her legs, your nan is a slag and your dad touches other dads." My girlfriend is a teacher. There was a little boy in her class who was finger painting. He stops, looks at his hands and says, "Now how the fuck do I get this off?" I had been painting over some Sharpie on the wall with oil paint or kilts or something similar, but the smell lingers for a long time. High schoolers start to come in for class. Girl A yells, "Why's IT stinkin' here?" Girl B says, "Because yo mouth is open." Girl A rifles back, "Because yo legs is open." Overheard a grade 6 student tell a group of kids in his class that if they don't take their Viagra they wouldn't be able to please their girlfriend. It was surprising. I actually didn't punish this kid, though I was supposed to, but I couldn't stop laughing. So, whenever my high schoolers whine about something I say, "Into every life a little rain must fall," which is my polite, and deliberately annoying, way of saying suck it up. By the end of the year, they're so used to it that all I have to do is say, "Into every life," and they roll their eyes and grumble, but at least they stop complaining. Well, one day a kid comes in my room and he's already complaining about something that hasn't even happened yet. So I say, "Into every life." And he says, "A little rain must fall." I know. But Mrs. Danica Liope, it's AF*NG thunderstorm right now. Not me, but my fiance. She's a really great teacher but was having trouble with this one class. One of the students asked her, "Mrs. Teacher, do you have any kids?" Fiance, "Oh God, no." Kid, "That might be for the best." I teach pre-K. The kids were out at recess and one was riding a bike wearing his helmet, as he should. One of my girls walked by and hit him over the head with our plastic baseball bat. I asked her why she did that. She replied, "He has a helmet on." I had to turn away and snort before telling her it wasn't okay to hit anyone, even if they have a helmet. Teaching first grade and a kid came up to me and said, "Miss, E just said something bad." So I walk over to E and ask if he said something inappropriate. He shrugs, looks sheepish and says, "I said cows have big boobies." I literally paused with my mouth open. Was not expecting that one. A friend of mine teaches first grade. One day her class was watching Hercules and during the scene where Hades is smoking a cigar a kid shouts, "Miss Dash. He's smoking a fat blunt." I can't imagine trying to keep a straight face when she had to tell her that she can't say that kind of stuff in school. I taught literacy for an after-school program, K6, and it seemed like those kids had too many funny but inappropriate moments. One of my favorites. "Man bitches," first grade girl to her classmates as they walked down the hall. Last week, I joking told one of my grade 8 students that he better behave because Santa was watching. He strolled away saying nonchalantly, "Santa, my ass." I cracked up.